Okay, so sorry for the delay, but every 4 years, a
Wait a
local
minute
meeting.
now.
Sorry.
Are you affirmative, so you're sitting on that
Okay,
side?
yeah. So we're on the affirmative side,
Okay.
and they're on the against side. My name is Johan, by the way.
Okay.
Every 4 years, a local region is given the opportunity to present itself to an international platform. The Olympic Games presents an opportunity for a city to brand itself and allows the economy to facilitate global trade and international businesses. Through this opportunity, the region's culture becomes displayed on a global level where local businesses benefit greatly. The International Olympic Committee, IOC, has estimated that the total value of the advertisements done prior to the Vancouver Winter Olympic Games to be $1 billion. For our debate, we argue that the branding of the city and increase in spending on infrastructure gave way for a region that is now more internationally recognized and more efficient. With 1.8 billion viewers worldwide with 1.8 viewers worldwide prior and during the Games, Vancouver was beginning to get recognized as a world city. For 2 weeks, the tourism industry of BC witnessed a massive increase of people flowing in from other countries to experience the diverse culture and nature that the region has to offer. Resulting from this stimulus, international businesses turned their eyes towards the region and demand for investments increased. Yeah. Prior to the 2010 Olympics, Metro Vancouver Commerce was developed as a program to ensure that the branding of the city would benefit the local economy and open it up for foreign investment. MVC, as a short term, estimated that by December 2010, the total enticement from FDI would generate $50 million. But the actual numbers turned out to be $168.8 million, generated as a result from the increased FDI. This, in turn, created 147 new businesses connecting to international trade, which then again increased the amounts of jobs substantially, according to the reports from Pricewaterhouse. Not only from FDIs were jobs created, but also through construction, tourism, and other incremental sectors connected to the Games. 45,000 new jobs were in total created between 2003 and 2010, whereas 21,500 of these were incrementally linked. These factors played a substantial role in the economic growth that BC witnessed between 2003 and 2010. And Canada overall saw a net increase in real GDP of 2.3 billion during the same period, which is figures that we found from PwC again. In order to effectively transport the increasing flow of visitors in the region, a more efficient infrastructural system was needed. Canada Line and the Sea to Sky Highway were the two major projects that would help boost the efficiency of transportation. Also ensuring safety for commuters with a 66% decrease in accidents on the Sea to Sky Highway. Now people could travel from the suburbs of Vancouver to the city centers cheaper, faster, and more environmentally friendly. Also, it is now possible for the peripheral Vancouverites to live in areas outside the city center where housing prices are lower and still get downtown to work every morning. Today, Canada Line has 100,000 travelers daily, so the demand for a better transportation system was clearly high before the systems were created. The Vancouver Winter Olympics helped push the development of these systems and ensure the projects would not be delayed. Even though the cost of these developments were large, we argue that the opportunity cost of not having them or delaying them would be far greater in the long run than the cost was for developing them. We know that Vancouver planned to build these two systems even without a bid. But we argue that hosting the Games made sure that the projects were built fast and not delayed. Following the reasons now mentioned, we argue that the Olympics of 2010 gave way to social and economic benefits. Sorry. Okay, that was my point. So you got it.
Thank you. Well done. Okay, negative side.
I'm sweating like Rob Ford.
Yeah. It's good to have you here, because you're going to be ousted from power in a few weeks.
All right now.
Okay, next slide.
When considering whether hosting the Olympics is economically valuable or not, hosting nations must first consider whether temporary national pride and joy are worth the high costs incurred by the society. The 2010 Olympic Games resulted in a financial hangover for Vancouver, where long-run costs outweigh the short-run benefits by resulting in unnecessary financial risk being placed on public sector and a net loss of social welfare at a provincial level. When we look at it from a social perspective, the 2010 Olympic Games had a high opportunity cost on society by reallocating spending from areas such as education and healthcare towards the Games and led to a period with higher taxes. Inequality in British Columbia has been growing over the past decade, and many researchers state that the shift in public policy acts as a way to implement this inequality and make it persistent in British Columbia. 62% of the total cost of the Games accounted from public share. And this shift in public policy to reallocate the 62% towards the Games and not public spending would have a negative impact on society and inequality. Also, the Games many research has speculated that the Games will have a cost of over $1.2 billion on British Columbia residents alone, and would result in a period with increased taxes, increased debt, or reduced spending. That being said, Canada Revenue Agency documented an increase in its sales tax from 5% in January 2008 to June 2010 to a 12% from then onwards. Therefore, the Olympic Games not only had a high financial cost, but also had a high opportunity cost on the society.
As the economist Peter McCabe asserts, the most important consideration for hosting the Olympic Games are the long-term economic legacies. As widely agreed amongst analysts that these legacies are realized through employment, sustained induced employment, and tourism, which increases foreign direct investment and consumption during the time of the Games. Although data collected by the Olympic Games report UBC research team in their post-game data indicates no visible increase in economic activity rate in BC, meaning there was a larger participation rate in the employed population in BC. Furthermore, the year during and following the Olympic Games, Vancouver saw no decrease in the unemployment rate, as many of the jobs created that helped drop the unemployment rate in Vancouver faster than other major cities in Canada these jobs had now been dissipated. In addition, the OGI report indicated no additional increase related to the Games in the normal rate of overnight tourist spending in the length of their stay, and international business conferences being hosted in the Vancouver area. In fact, in 2010, Calgary had a 5% raise in the tourism industry, while Vancouver only saw a 4% raise. And since 2007, the tourism industry has been lagging behind other industries in BC, with only a 0.09% raise in 2011. And while there is no sustained aggressive marketing campaign for tourism, like many Olympics before it, there have been a lack of constant international attention, and Vancouver has the potential to lose that short period of international exposure that it had once gained with the Games.
In the aftermath of the 2008 global financial crisis, the spillover effect of the crisis affected the Vancouver Olympic housing development, a major infrastructure portion of the Vancouver Olympic Games.
What's your name, sir?
Kilby. Yeah. The global crisis hit when the primary financer of the product, a New York City-based investment firm, Fortress Investment Group, neared bankruptcy, and the primary Canadian developer of the project lost their financing from them and therefore defaulted on their loans of the project. As a result of this, Vancouver was forced to develop their own bailout project to rescue this because it was a crucial element to the Olympic Games. Without this, the Games could not and would not have happened. And this resulted in a transfer of debt from the private sector into the public realm, forcing Vancouver to take a huge amount of sovereign risk, and
Is
thus
that included in the approximately $1 billion cost of the Olympics? When we say the Olympics cost $1 billion, does that include that False Creek fiasco?
the $1 billion infrastructure development. It was initially a 1.1.
When you say the Olympics cost $1 billion, does that billion include the money that was lost as a result of the False Creek fiasco?
It includes the development of infrastructure, but I don't think it includes the money lost by the bailout.
It does not.
And the cost of the Olympic Games indicated by the UBC post-game study was actually $6.4 billion in total cost.
Continuing on that note, the bailout package, which resulted in high level of debt for the city of Vancouver, and increased the sovereign risk, which resulted in uncertainty of the project. And in 2009, credit rating agency Standard & Poor's downgraded the Vancouver credit rating from stable to negative. Standard & Poor's downgraded to the Vancouver credit rating, made it difficult for them to finance any other additional costs of the project, left them in a sort of a credit freeze, and the investment that they put into the Vancouver housing development shifted spending from traditional government social welfare infrastructure such as education, healthcare, and such other things.
Okay, I'm going to have to call time on you. And affirmatives, you now have a couple minutes to rebut their.
Yeah, I can first go on to the last point you made about government spending going away from regularly spent money. We believe that spending more money on sport venues will facilitate new, what are you going to call role models for young kids that would, in the long run, make the population more active and then again make the population more healthy. So we believe that spending more money on sport venues like this that connects kids to sports, both from an Aboriginal level and from the Vancouver point of view, is a long-term investment to work for the more healthy population.
I'm going to turn the rebuttal over to you people. Do you have anything you want to rebut on what they have said, the affirmative side?
Yeah, my point in arguing for the infrastructure development on the Vancouver Olympic athlete housing project has absolutely nothing to do with sporting infrastructure and how that will develop athletes.
So are you specifically talking about the Olympic Village?
I am specifically talking about the Olympic Village in this case. In the
Is there a
Village
question
project.
though? You're now putting the question to the affirmatives.
Okay.
So you're saying, so you're looking towards the money spent on transportation or the money spent on venues? You have to make that clear first. Are you saying that the money spent on transportation is a waste of money? Or are you saying that money spent on sport venue is a waste of money?
There's a housing like the Olympic
Yeah, I'm
Village.
speaking of housing. Now
Just
we're
generally
trying
about the Olympic Village.
to- Purely, this is what this argument is.
Okay,
related to.
okay.
And to speak of your transportation argument, the Sea to Sky Highway, yes, that was particular to the Olympic bid. That may or may not happen in the long run. It was completed on time. It's an additional benefit. But your argument in regards to the transportation infrastructure that was installed, particularly the Canada line from YVR to downtown. That project would have been scheduled and completed regardless of the Olympic bid.
Oh, at the same time frame, though, with the same pressure as IOC took
The same pressure. The problem with that is the
Would
pressure.
they have got the federal money if there hadn't been the Olympics? Would they have, I think the feds paid, or let's say 25%, I don't know what. Would they have got that 25% if it hadn't been the Olympics as the incentive? Because the feds coughed up the money because it was for the whole country, right? It was advertising Canada. And so they coughed up 25%. If it had just been a local infrastructure project, they might not have gotten 25% from the feds.
But the majority of the government
So my
spending,
question is this, would they have got the 25% federal money?
If it were not for an Olympic-related event, they would not have gotten Olympic-related funding for the project. Secondary to that, you mentioned the timeline, and that it was completed quickly and rapidly, on schedule for the Olympic Games. The problem with that, it was developed for the Olympic Games. The sustainable development of the rail system has not been developed for the future of Vancouver.
We kind of
It's been developed in a way that has the shortest platform size anywhere in North America. It does not have room for population density increase and growth. The train system is limited for today's current population, has minimal room for
That's a very